All right, guys, so the postseason is here. So let's check out Coach Mike's predictions for the Wild Card Series. Are you ready, Coach?
Let's do it, B.
All right. So first off, this was a very different season with the pandemic going on. But what are your thoughts on the fact that there are 16 teams in this postseason?
You know, at first when I heard about it, I wasn't crazy about it. But now that the playoffs are underway and I've seen the matchups, I kind of like it. I like the 16 teams. I like the 3-game series because anything can happen, no matter who's a higher seed or not.
Okay, so which team are you surprised to see make it this far? And is there a team that you expected to make it here and didn't?
I would go with like the majority. I think everybody's shocked to see the Marlins in the playoffs. I mean, they started off hot and they were able to hold on and keep that number 2 spot in the East. So kudos to them. The team that I thought should have made it, or I thought was going to make it for sure, was the New York Mets, and they kind of had a disappointing season. But it is what it is, and good luck to the Marlins.
All right, so let's go into the predictions. So starting off with the Astros and the Twins, do you think that the Astros will have the willpower to make it past the Twins, knowing that, they got this far with all the backlash that they faced with the whole cheating news being revealed?
Do they have the willpower? I think they do. I don't think that they're gonna get past the Twins. I think the Twins just have just too much pitching. They're very deep in their lineup. The Astros had a down year. They had a lot of obstacles in front of them. With no fans in the ballpark, I think helped out a lot. But they still, they're human. But once they're in the playoffs, I don't think you can count them out. But like I said, I think the Twins are just got too much pitching. The Astros pitching's banged up. They don't really have much of a bullpen. So I think it's going to rely on the bullpens, and that's where I think the Twins will come out on top.
Okay, well, you mentioned the fact that there are no fans. Do you think that will help Greinke out in this postseason?
I do. You know what? Greinke's a command. He relies on his command and his control. A lot of times when you get in the postseason, that adrenaline kicks in, and so those guys that have command have a hard time, keeping that good life on their pitches. And the stuff flattens out, and a lot of times they leave it a little bit up in the zone and they get hit. With no fans, I think he's going to be able to keep his adrenaline in check, and I think he should do all right. I feel that the game that the Astros can win is that first game with Greinke on the mound.
Okay, so then we have the Blue Jays and the Rays. So the Blue Jays, the underdogs, do you think they will be victorious?
No, I think the Rays pitching staff is just going to be very dominant. I think it's going to be a closer head-to-head matchup than people think, just because it's interleague, interdivision rivalry they got, and those Rays. The Blue Jays, they're young, they're fearless, so they're going to give the Rays a run for their money. But ultimately, I think the Rays pitching staff is just going to keep them in check and move on to the next round.
White Sox versus Athletics. So let me ask you 2 things. One, more of a name. Luis Robert, the next Mike Trout, yes or no?
Great player, but no.
Okay. And who do you see taking this one?
I'm gonna go with the White Sox. I think the White Sox I know that they've kind of stumbled here lately, but I think they've got a really solid lineup. They're young, they're fun to watch. I think they've got just enough pitching to get by. The A's, they're playing in one of the weakest divisions in baseball. I think they've kind of sputtered a little bit. They've had some injuries. Their pitching's okay. The A's are that team that always is kind of competitive. They're always in the hunt. They're going to make the playoffs. But once they get to the playoffs, I just don't think they have enough firepower to move on. So I'm going to go with the White Sox.
Okay. Now, pitching is typically a problem for most teams. But with the Yankees and the Indians, they have a marquee pitching matchup. What do you think is going to happen there?
They do. And the Indians have 3 great starters going. I think they benefit especially from this 3-game series. I just don't think their lineup's going to come through and be able to score enough runs. I think no matter how great those pitchers are the Indians have, that's still a daunting lineup that the Yankees put out, and it's going to be very tough to, every at bat is just that battle that they're bringing, and I think the Yankees lineup's going to be a little bit too much for those pitchers to handle. And like I said, now it's playoff time. That adrenaline kicks in. It's going to be hard to command that stuff, and I think the Yankees will take advantage with their lineup.
All right, we'll see how that one will play out. Next up is the Reds versus the Braves. Now, the Reds won 11 of their last 15 games to get to this spot. How do you see that one turning out?
This is going to be another interesting series. I like a lot of them. This one's going to be one of my favorite ones to watch. The Braves, they've had one of the best offenses in all of baseball throughout the whole year. They've been consistent. I just think the three guys right now on the mound for the Reds, and knowing what their lineup can do, and because they're the hottest team coming into the playoffs, if you look back at the history, those wild card teams that sneak in, that are hot, trying to win at the end of the year, they continue to roll through the playoffs. I mean, it happened last year with the Nationals, and I think the Reds are that team that's gonna come through. They're on fire right now. I think with the three big arms that the Reds are carrying, that's gonna carry them, I think, a long ways into the playoffs.
Next up, the Marlins versus the Cubs. Now, you mentioned that you didn't expect the Marlins to get here, but the Marlins also at the beginning were shut down due to COVID. Somehow they did enough to clinch a spot in this postseason. How do you see that matchup turning out?
Yeah, out of all the matchups, I think this one is the best one for the Marlins, even though I don't think they're going to be able to get by the Cubs. The Cubs have been there. They've got some of the veteran presence. I'm a big fan of David Ross. I think he's going to keep those guys locked in and ready to go. So I think the Cubs will still be a little bit too much for the Marlins to handle. But I think for the Marlins to have a shot, this is their best draw. I just think they're going to come up short.
Now, the Padres were an exciting team. They're up against the Cardinals. So you have veteran players versus young, fearless players. How do you see that game turning out?
This one is going to be very interesting. I do like, I know Wainwright's getting up there in age. I do like the three starters that the Cardinals are throwing out there. It's tough because when the Padres got Clevenger in that deal, I thought for sure that was the move that was going to turn the Padres into becoming the front runner. With him down and Lament down, I just don't, it's going to be a lot tougher. I still think the Padres are going to take the series. I'm not quite as confident in that now with two of their better arms going down. But I'm still going to stick with the Padres to make it through, just because they do have a young, fearless cast, and they're exciting to watch, and I don't think they're ever out of the game.
Okay, lastly, the Brewers versus the Dodgers. I know everybody's wondering this, so I want to hear your take on it. Will the Dodgers' postseason curse be lifted?
First round, I don't even think it's going to be close. I think the Dodgers are going to destroy the Brewers. The Dodgers test will be in the divisional round. But no, I don't think their curse is going to be lifted, is my opinion. But for Kershaw's sake and even Kenley Jansen, I hope that they are able to close it out.
Well, you heard it here. Those are Coach Mike's predictions. Let's see how they play out.